What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of the HMA Fantasy Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Jacob Hughley, and I am joined today by a host of guests. As always, we have a whole bunch of people in here ready to talk about these awesome matchups that we have going on today for this 23rd episode of HMA Fantasy. Go ahead and kick it off. Jack Mueller. How you doing, Jack?
Doing all right. Never better.
Awesome. And Earl from the Open Mat. How are you doing, Earl? I heard about your zoo trip yesterday.
Yeah, went down past Jack and Trent's neck of the woods and had some fun out in the middle of nowhere.
Very cool. And then Coach Gross, Seth Gross, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Yeah, not too much going on, but a good day today.
All right. And then last, but certainly not least, we are joined by Coach Trent Paulson. How you doing, Trent? Oh, I think we don't got your noise, your sound.
Damn it, I'm over here looking like amateur hour.
Oh, you're good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good.
Awesome, man. Well, we're definitely excited to have you on here. It's always cool to have people that wrestled around the time of all these guys that can give us a different look at them.
Yeah.
For sure. But we'll go ahead and get into it. So what happened before is going to be, let's just go over real quick what happened in the last episode. Or should I say the last two episodes, because we talked for 2.5 hours and I had to shorten it into 2 episodes. But 2005, the number 1 seed took out 2008, 22-10. And then the 8 seed, 2015, took out 2006, 21-13. And you can go view those episodes on anywhere there's podcasting platforms. I'm also going to have them out on my Twitter to where people can just see the results if they want to, with a link to the episode probably later today. But today we're going to get into that bottom half, that bottom left quadrant, 2018 versus 2009, and then 2016 versus 2010. So really looking forward to it. It's going to be some exciting matchups. But I guess we'll just go ahead and jump into our first duel, if that's cool with everybody.
Yep.
Good. All right. Awesome. So let's get going. Our first duel that we have is going to be 2018 versus 2009. And again, a reminder of how we got the seeds. These seeds are based on points that we gave each wrestler. There was a point per national championship, a half a point per All-American, and a 3-point for a Hodge Trophy win. Or I guess, they won the Hodge Trophy, they get 3 points. And so up to this point, that's how we got these seeds. And, I'm excited to get talking about this. But 2018, who had 2018 that we were?
I got 2018.
Awesome. Do you want to tell us, just run through the lineup and who we got for the 2018 lineup?
Yeah, 125, Spencer Lee. 133, this handsome-looking guy right there, Seth Gross. Yeah, 141, Yanni Diakomahalis. 149, Zayden Rutherford. 157, Jason Nolf. 165, Vincenzo Joseph. 174, Zahid Valencia. 184, Bo Nickel. 197, Mike Machiavello. And heavyweight, Kyle Snyder.
Awesome. Pretty stacked lineup. Excited to talk about that one. And then on the other side of things, 2009. Who had 2009? All right, I'll jump into it. I'll go through it real quick. Troy Nickerson of Cornell at 125 pounds. And then we're going to go 133, Frank Gomez. 141, Jay Jaggers. 149, Darian Caldwell. 157, Jordan Burroughs. 165, Jared King. 74, Steve Luke. 84, Jake Herbert. 97, Jake Varner. And then 285 pounds, we've got Mark Ellis of Missouri. So
2009 was Sam.
2009 was Sam. Okay. Sam is doing wrestling things, and so he is pretty busy. But, I'm excited to talk about this thing either way. So Is there a weight that anybody sees that they really want to
Yeah.
like save till last or start on or
Finish at 157.
finish at 157? Oh, yeah,
100%.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and kick it off at 165 pounds. Vincenzo Joseph versus Jared King. I'm excited to talk about this one too because Jack and I kind of looked over this a little bit yesterday, and we disagreed a little bit on this one. Not like we didn't have an argument or anything about it, but it's going to be cool to hear people's opinions. So I guess I'll just kick it to Seth. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Vincenzo?
Yeah, Vincenzo Joseph. So this year he was a sophomore, two-time NCAA champ, and he was, I believe, runner-up at Big Tens both those years, losing to Imar one year, and then was it Marinelli the next?
I think both of those years was Imar.
Yeah, you're right. Imar both those years, and yeah, dude has a knack of turning it on at the NCAA tournament and finding a way to get it done. So yeah, one is a freshman and one is a sophomore.
Awesome. And then Jared King. Does anybody have any kind of knowledge of Jared King?
He was the 12 seed this year, the year that he won it. Kind of put a run together. One of the lowest seeds to ever win a national title. If we were looking at like best runs ever, you'd have to look at Jared King's.
Yeah, so
For sure.
he was a big recruit out of Pennsylvania, went to Oklahoma, had a bunch of shoulder injuries, and actually almost hung it up, and then went back to Edinburgh. You know, as Jack mentioned, had that great run. He pretty sure he knocked off John Reeder in the semis in a overtime match, and then beats Andrew Howe in the finals, freshman Andrew Howe.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
ever wrestle him, Trent?
When he was at Oklahoma, I believe he wrestled Travis. But yeah, he was banged up a lot. He definitely had a hell of a run his senior year. He had a really good high crotch. He beat Howe in overtime in the finals, right? Was Reeder a freshman or a sophomore that year?
Sophomore, I think. Yeah,
Pretty sure he was a freshman.
he could have been a freshman. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but this is where I was getting into it yesterday, or like when I was thinking about it, initially for me, when you look at it, I think it's Chenzo. He's two-time champ at this point, and you really like get, a little bit of recency bias also, but it's kind of leaning that way, I would think, for most people. But we got to remember that, we're not talking, full career Chenzo, full career King. We're really trying to talk about these years and, up to this point in their career. I know Jared King this is his senior year, so he has a lot more to talk about, but I really want to focus on this year for him and this tournament specifically. I mean, the dude beat Nick Muchastegui in the second round. Is it Mozafe?
Oh, Mozafe. Yeah, he was a couple-time All-American for you and I.
Yeah. So Muchastegui, Faye, Reeder in the semis, and then Andrew Howe. Like, got to be one of the best tournament runs of all time. Absolutely crazy bracket. And, you have other guys in this bracket like Ryan Morningstar. And I know there's a couple more that I'm losing in here in this sea of crazy. Dan Valmont. Man, there's just all kinds of studs in this bracket. So I'll go ahead. I'll kick it to Jack. Jack, tell us, what are you thinking about? Which way are you leaning on this one?
I'm going Chenzo, and I was gonna propose a major. Honestly, like I don't see, especially a sophomore Chenzo. And when the lights turn on, there aren't many better. I would have loved to see him finish out his career this year.
Yeah, and I'll second that right away. I mean, you got to look at this dude beat Isaiah Martinez in the finals both years, and that in itself is a huge deal. Came out of nowhere and just turned it on at nationals, found a way. And Jared King was a 12 seed, so I gotta go with Chenzo, man.
What do you guys think about him beating Imar? Not consistently, because he usually lost to him in the season and then beat him in the NCAA tournament. But like, is it kind of a matchup thing because how much Imar relies on those underhooks and Chenzo's comfortable in those overhook? Kind of. I'm losing my words here, but that overhook inside step position. I don't know. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Why did that work out so well for him when, only 3 dudes in college, or only 2 guys in college actually beat Isaiah Martinez?
Yeah, I think his overhook, he's so good there, and at least neutralized what Imar did. And like you saw against him and Imar and him and Marinelli, it's kind of a hit or miss type deal. And he found a way to get it done in the big matches, but other ones he'd try and get put on his back. And that's the fun thing about him, is you never really knew what was going to happen, but somehow at nationals he always found a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of mentality and matchup, because Aymar and Chenzo were both special in that they could hit leg attacks and they could wrestle upper body. And in the King matchup, King had a great high crotch and he had a hell of a run his senior year at the tournament, beat a lot of studs. Anytime you beat Reeder, Howe, I can't remember who else you said, but in the same tournament, you did something special. But in the Aymar Chenzo matchup, I think the mentality part is Chenzo had a special ability that he could brush off a loss and say, it doesn't matter when March hits, there's no one that's going to beat me at the NCAA tournament. And I think that's why he won 3 out of his 4.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they both looked at it that way, but what amazed me about Chenzo is his ability to stay completely relaxed in very, very, very high matchups. Like in some of those upper body do or die situations, it almost looked like he was in a spar state and then he would just explode, or he knew he'd hit that position 1,000 times. Like in the duel against Marinelli, when he baited him to bear hug him so he could hit that rethrow. That's special stuff.
Even when he celebrated after his first national title, like you win that national title, it's like people are jumping, screaming, like going nuts because they were freaking out. He like lays on his back and just like is like still relaxed in his celebration. He's just like, wow, awesome. Like super cool headed. I think it's one of the coolest celebrations because like I know that if I was in that, I'd be freaking jumping around like a dingus.
He'd probably be slapping me in the face.
Yeah.
That was such an insane upset. I mean, I was there and that was insane. Like at that point you think Isaiah Martinez is going to be a 4-timer.
Yeah.
He's 1-2, he's going for his 3rd, and it was just like, he's beat this guy, he's going to beat him. We're looking ahead to 4, and just sticks him. It was crazy, man. But let's finish up our votes. I assume by what you're saying that you have Vincenzo, Trent.
Yep.
Cool. And Earl.
Yeah, let's go a clean sweep for Vincenzo. I wouldn't say major, but I'd say pretty comfortable win.
Cool. Yeah. No, I was leaning King just kind of because of this amazing tournament, but just thinking more about it stylistically, and I'm going to have to go Joseph as well. So we'll go clean sweep on Vincenzo Joseph, and then move on to 174 pounds, where we're going to have Zahid Valencia versus Steve Luke. Earl, can you start us off and tell us a little bit about Steve Luke?
Yeah, Steve Luke was, I believe, a 3-time Big Ten champion for Michigan, 3-time All-American. He was a finalist the year before, lost to Keith Gavin, and then he was undefeated this year. He was really stout defensively. I don't know if he gave up very few offensive points this particular year, if any. So I think it would be an amazing matchup with his strengths based on Zahid's strengths as well.
Very cool. And then on the other side of things, Seth, Zahid Valencia, what do you know about him?
So this is also Zahid's sophomore year, and so he lost freshman year to Mark Hall in the finals, and this year he was on fire, 78% bonus point rate, undefeated on the year, and he destroyed Mark this year in the finals, and I think this is the same year he went on to beat Derringer at the World Team Trial stuff and close matches with Dake. So I think this is one of Zahid's best years overall. Next year 2019 he had a couple losses, but 2018 this guy was on fire, and he was a force to be reckoned with that year.
For sure. Yeah, this definitely might be his best year in college. But interested, the matchup perspective, Trent, can you tell us like what you think about if these two guys actually met, and who's favored in this match, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think Zahid was on another level. I think Steve Luke was very, very, very impressive. I remember him in high school and college. He was always really well built and very strong and very hard to score on. It can control matches. But the first thing that came to my mind is when Zahid, I know it was a different year, but when Zahid wrestled Hidley from NC State, because Hidley has the same build and is just as hard to score on. And we saw what happened there at Vegas. So that's where I drew my conclusion. I know they're both great athletes. I just think Zahid in recent years is one of the better guys to go through college.
For sure. Definitely. Yeah. And I'll go ahead and kick it off. I'm going to go Zahid Valencia. And I'll let you guys fill it in for the rest. Jack, what are you feeling?
I've got Zahid as well. He was fun to watch. Like, we had some pretty tight duels with Arizona State and went back and forth with them every year. And the year that we beat Arizona State, Zahid bumped up and went 84, and he wrestled like this kid that's pretty funny. His name's Will Shaney, and Zahid was like punching him in the face as legally as you could. It was hilarious.
He was trying to hurt him.
He was a freaking bully. It was mean.
And he was giving up 10 pounds.
So fast, like right off the whistle. When he like takes his attacks right off the whistle, he goes club, ankle pick, and then it's really awesome. It's a really cool thing. I wish I could do it.
Yeah, he moves well for a big guy.
Yeah, he wrestles like a little guy because of how his huge growth spurt in high school. He was
his ability to make you bite on fakes just by falling to one knee, and then those transitions were pretty amazing.
Yeah, he wrestles on his knees a lot. It's really cool.
I think it's cool too. There's not, we're seeing a lot more of them recently, but if you think back, there's not historically that many guys that are in weights where you're just like, it's like a next topic situation. He's head and shoulders like untouchable. I really think obviously he had Mark Hall for 3 of those years, but this last year here, if he would have finished it out, and obviously the COVID situation, there wasn't anybody close. Like, I don't believe that anybody could have really beat him. And so I think, do we all have Zahid here? Or is anybody going for Luke?
Yeah, I got Zahid by major.
I could get on board with that. Anybody else?
His bonus point rate that year was unreal. I got to give it to him.
All right. Well, that's 2 by majors. Anybody else going major, or are we sticking to decision?
I'm gonna stick to decision.
All right.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. Trent, your decision?
Yeah, it'd be a controlled decision, but Steve Luke was a bad dude.
Cool. All right, so we got decision for Zahid Valencia, and we'll keep moving down. This next one's going to be fun to talk about, man. 184 pounds, Bo Nickel versus Jake Herbert. Man. Seth, kick us off. Tell us a little bit about 2018 Bo Nickel.
So Bo Nickel was a junior this year. This was his second title. I believe this the year he beat Gabe Dean in the finals? I'm looking. Nope, this is the one he beat Miles Martin in the finals. And that was I don't know what happened in that match. That was one of the craziest, I think, NCAA finals matches ever. I don't know how he put that dude on his back from there. But yeah, junior year, over a 70% bonus rate and undefeated on the season. So, and then he was a 2-time champ at the time. And yeah, that's Bo Nickel junior year.
Awesome. Earl, can you tell us a little bit about Jake Herbert?
Yeah, so Jake Herbert was a senior this year. This was his Hodge Trophy winning season. Finished off his second undefeated year. He was undefeated in 2007 as well. I think he only had 3 collegiate losses. The last one came to Askren in the finals his sophomore year. He was kind of on another level this year. I can't even think who was the Hodge runner-up, really, just because he was kind of that far ahead of everybody else. And then, we all know he made the Olympic team. He won a world silver medal after this, not that we're counting that.
Yeah. Looks like Brent Metcalf was second in the Hodge running. You got Metcalf, Jordan Burroughs. Well, probably Jordan Burroughs, I guess. But awesome, man. Can anybody visualize how this match would go down?
Crazy madness.
I think it's madness, but I think Bo's always been controlled madness. Like you don't know what he's doing, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He's a chess player, and he's freaking good. He'll crush you. You want to talk about landmines? Bo Nickel's a landmine. I mean, sure. I think that it's going to be a crazy match, maybe a 7-point decision, and they both have double-digit points. But like, I've got Bo, and I got Bo. I would have no doubt in my mind thinking Bo.
Yeah, I think that I go Bo as well, and I think looking at the Herbert Askren matchup is kind of where it draws me to Bo in this matchup, just because the way Ben beat Herbert that year, and I think that Bo has some of that crazy control, like Jack said, he's controlled in that madness situations, and he knows exactly what he's doing there. And I think that I don't think a lot of guys at the time when Herbert wrestled besides Ben Askren really did all that crazy funky stuff.
Yeah, well, I was thinking the exact same way. I mean, exactly what you said, man. Funky situations. I think it favors Nickel, and I think they're going to get into those situations. So I'm going to go Nickel.
Well, I'd say this. Do you guys remember when Jake Herbert wrestled Mark Perry?
God, I have not seen it, but I definitely got to see it.
It was in Midlands, I think this year and maybe the year before. And I'd say Mark Perry's pretty hard to score and pretty funky in positions. And I think Herbert majored Perry in that match. Herbert, I know him as well as anybody on this list. I lived with him in Colorado. We trained together for a cycle. We grew up on high school or on college, university world teams. And I've never seen a person like Herbert where, I mean, he will put himself in any position in a practice room. You almost think he's a beginner wrestler in some situations just because he'll test any position just to learn it from it in practice and brush it off his shoulder. And come match time, he's one of the better gamers I've ever seen. I think Bo Nickel might scrape by a win, but you're not going to beat Herbert on conditioning, and you're not going to beat him on attack rate because he out attacks most. And one thing that made his single leg good, the second he got his hand behind your knee, he was already popping you up for an out the back door situation, and he was really good at finishing that position. So it eliminates a lot of the you shoot single, he pulls you to your waist, and you're in a seatbelt position where you can create a throw or create a scramble. The longer his career went, the more controlled he got in those positions, which I think makes it interesting.
For sure. All right, so we got, I think, do we have everybody voting Bo Nickel, though, so far, right? Earl, how are you feeling about this match?
Oh, man, I've been going back and forth on this one. I guess Nickel, as Trent said, scrapes by, but I think it would be probably one of the best ones to watch out of this duel.
For sure. All right, so we all got Nickel. We got a close match. And we'll move on to 197 pounds, where we're going to have Mike Machiavello versus Jake Varner. Seth, fill us in a little bit on Mike Mach.
So Machiavello, this was his senior year. He was 22-3 on the season, had a good run at NCAAs. He beat Jared Hott in the finals, beat Kyle Cornell and Shakir. And he was, I think that, was he a one-time or two-time All-American?
I think it was first-time All-American when he won nationals, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah. So, one-time All-American, one-time national champ. And, I like Mock. I know him pretty well and good dude. But, he had a heck of a run and got it done his senior year.
He's a fascinating story, man. He's from North Carolina, and obviously North Carolina is not one of the better wrestling states. And I believe he only won it once. He either only won it once or didn't win it. Yeah, he won it once. And, a one-time champ from North Carolina, go to NC State, and then, one-time champ on the college level. And obviously senior level doing some good things now. So he's a pretty cool story to follow. But on the other side of things, Jake Varner, Earl, do you want to tell us a bit about Jake Varner?
Yeah, he was a four-time finalist. This was his junior year. First year at 97, he lost in the Big 12 finals to Craig Brester this year, so he was the 2 seed, but he ended up beating him in the finals this particular year.
Awesome.
I was coaching at Nebraska the year Brester beat Varner, and then I also trained and wrestled with Varner. And I think in this matchup, Varner, he doesn't get a major, but he controls the victory. People don't realize how mean he was on top. When he got on top of you, he would crank halves and run wings, and some of the faces you saw people make from the bottom position, you don't want to laugh, but they were definitely in a very high amount of pain. And if he didn't turn you, he would ride you easily, and he was punishing. He might not have scored like 10 takedowns or scored a ton of points, but a lot of the times against very, very good people, he would either control you off the takedown and ride or pin you.
All right. So decision or pin?
That's what I'm saying. You don't. I mean, Mike obviously is a stud too. I remember his senior year being very, very dominant. Besides in the finals against the Virginia Tech kid and another finals match in the NCAA. But I know Jay Ella was a freshman that year, and Jay Ella's, I mean, going into his senior year, the 3 seed, he's a stud, but there was definitely a big mismatch in that duel that year and how dominant Mike was.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Varner. I'm not thinking bonus points like you guys are. I definitely watching matches, and he's not a crazy prolific scorer. I mean, he wins all the matches, but it's not running up the score like a David Taylor. So I'm gonna go decision for Jake Varner.
Yep, I'm on board with the decision for Jake Varner.
Same.
All right. Earl and Trent, I guess you guys are probably the same too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So 2009 picks up their first win at 197 pounds with Jake Varner. We're going to move on, though, to 285 pounds, where we see Kyle Snyder versus Mark Ellis of Missouri. So, Earl, do you want to open it up with Mark Ellis?
Yeah, so I don't know if the UVA guys know Mark, if you guys overlapped at all, but
Yeah, he coached me for a year.
yeah, he was ended up being a football recruit initially at Missouri, and then went back to wrestling. He was an All-American for the first time this year. Kind of, I don't want to say smaller guy, but smaller for big heavyweights, I guess. Maybe still bigger than Snyder, but the next year he actually was in a battle with Dom Bradley, because Dom Bradley was a redshirt freshman the next year, and they actually went back and forth, but ultimately it was Ellis who got the start in the postseason. He was in a pretty tough Big 12 weight class. Zabriskie from Iowa State was there. I think maybe Tucker Lane from Nebraska was always pretty solid. So he always had good Rochalt from Oklahoma.
Yeah, Rochalt.
Yeah. So there are always some good guys that he battled with.
Awesome.
I've got one good story about Mark Ellis real quick.
Go for it.
The first week of practice that he's there, he's our coach. And so he's young, he's pretty fit. Like, he would go on the treadmill and sprint for 45 minutes to an hour, just blasting worship music with start in gray sweats, and they would be black, full of drenched in sweat by the end. But anyways, this dude's crazy. He's wrestling on 197 pounder, and he is kind of just getting out of that MMA stage where you grapple, and so he has him in a weird I want to say chokehold on on his back, and our 197 pounder starts all right, you got me, let me go, I'm starting to freak out here, and he will go, and he, oh my gosh, I think I'm in a fight here, and so he starts clawing at his arms, won't let go, and he's starts trying to throw punches and trying to hit him, and he was connecting, but he wouldn't let go, and he's it goes on for a while, and he's trying to poke his eyes, and he ends up just screaming out because he's like getting choked out almost in the room, and he wouldn't let go. And so he goes, well, he's from Georgia. He goes, well, I didn't know what to do, so I just played dead, and I went like this. And he finally let go.
God,
Funny.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Play dead. Maybe he'll feel bad and let you go.
Like
He's
he's
like
getting
getting
attacked by a
choked
bear.
out. He's like fighting for his life, and so all he knows what to do is play dead because nothing else was working.
Hey, not a bad strategy. Certainly not at that point. But on the other end, we do have Kyle Snyder. At this point in his career, what do we see from him, Seth?
Senior Kyle Snyder, 3-time NCAA champ, 4-time All-American. He might have won an Olympic title or something one of those years. Can't remember. A couple world titles, but yes, this is Kyle Snyder. Not much needs to be said about this guy.
So are we feeling as long as there's not chokeholds and an actual fight breaking out, it probably leaning towards Snyder here?
I would propose bonus because Mark is a smaller heavyweight. I think he's athletic and is really, really mentally tough, but Kyle Snyder's Kyle Snyder. So I would say major.
Yeah, I'm in with that. I think Snyder really was focusing later in his career on getting those bonus points too, and especially against heavyweights that weren't huge. He had a pretty good success rate.
Yeah. What about you, Earl?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, there's only a few guys that are keeping Kyle Snyder to a regular decision at this point, and it's your big guys like Adam Kuhn and stuff like that. So I'd go major too.
What about you, Trent?
Yeah, I'd agree.
All right. Majors. I'm going to go major as well. So we're going to stick with a major, and we're going to circle right back around to the top with what promises to be a fun match to talk about. We have 2018 Spencer Lee versus 2009 Troy Nickerson. I think this one's kind of a fascinating matchup, and a lot of people were commenting on social media and just, like, I would love to see this match. Like, no matter what happened, I would like to see this match. And so let's just get into it. Seth, at this point, 2018 Spencer Lee, where are we at with him?
So this is Spencer Lee's freshman year, and he lost twice that year. Once to Nathan Tomasello and once to Ronnie Bresser at Midlands. That one was a little controversial, but crazy match. And yeah, he just hit fire late in the season. His NCAA run was a tech fall over Luke Welch, pin over Nick Piccinini, a pin over Tomasello, and then a 5-1 decision over Nick Suriano. So he really just caught fire and didn't really look back the rest of his career so far. So he's still on pace to keep getting those titles. But yeah, so he had a phenomenal freshman season.
Yeah. And on the other side of things, Troy Nickerson, Earl.
All right, so this is Troy Nickerson's junior season. He was second and third the previous two times. He beat Angel Escobedo, the returning champion, in the semis, and was undefeated this year. By his own admission, this was probably one of the worst NCAA finals you'd ever watch. I'm pretty sure he won by a locked hands call or illegal hold, something like that in overtime.
Yeah, it was either a false start or a locked hands. I remember
there
that.
you go.
Was it against Donahoe?
Yep.
Yeah.
And at this point, he injuries kind of started to mount up for him, and he had told me that he kind of changed his style up and was really, really good from the top position and crab ride at this point in time.
Awesome. My thought here, and I believe it's kind of when you get into like talking about guys like Zahid and Zane Rutherford and all those kinds of guys in the same conversation, Spencer is almost a lock win in most situations. And we're just kind of talking, are we talking bonus points or not? How do we feel about Nickerson's bottom game? And I think that's the big deal here for me personally as to whether it's going to be a major decision or not. So how do we feel about Nickerson's bottom games? Anybody have any comments on that?
I mean, I don't, but I can comment on Spencer's top game.
That's yeah.
It's pretty good. I would offer a bonus, especially this. Like, if they hit in this tournament run, I mean, like Seth said, he caught fire
for sure.
One thing I'd say about Nickerson, he was banged up a lot, but when he was healthy, he was pretty special. I remember Andrew Long when he was a freshman, he was killing people, and we ran into Cornell. I think we went there and dueled them, and it was like a first period fall for Nickerson. And we were like, what the hell just happened? And like the people you just mentioned that he beat to win his title, Angel Escobedo, world team member, NCAA Tampa as a sophomore. One thing about Nickerson, he was tough on top too, but he could wrestle in any position. He was really scrambly. And one of the more dominant high school wrestlers as well. I remember his senior year at Fargo, he had Nick Gallick in the finals, and he teched him in the first period. And Nick Gallick was a blue chip kid that had won 3 Arizona State titles, and his brother Nate had just won an NCAA title. We're like, who the heck is this Nickerson kid? Like, we thought Nick was going to be the untouchable, but Nick had a great career too. But Nickerson, to get back to the point, he, I think you have to give it to Spencer Lee just because of he's on track to be a 4-timer, but being second, third, first, I think second or third his senior year, that's almost in the finals all 4 years as well. I think, I don't know if it'd be bonus, but Nickerson could hold his own if he was healthy.
Yeah. The only thing for me is like, this is freshman Spencer Lee. And yeah, he really caught fire and blew people away in that national tournament. But prior to that, it wasn't the same level of dominance that we're used to in the recent years. So that's where I'm like, I'm swaying back and forth between is it bonus or is it not?
Yeah, he had a higher bonus point rate his freshman year than his sophomore year.
Yeah, I was about to say no, he wasn't dominant the past 2 years. He lost to Sebastian twice. And my match with him would have been close if freaking Doofus didn't give him the stalling point at the end.
I was thinking more of
like he wasn't dominant. Like, and even this year, like, I mean, yeah, he was killing everyone, but like 125 sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't a good weight class, and so he didn't wrestle anyone. He never. I mean, he majored Piccinini, and like that. That's the only one where I would be like, yeah, that was a good win. But other than that, every other match is like not tough at all. So I don't know if freshman year was his best year, but I think that there's this aura about Spencer Lee that people have. I think it's kind of BS. And I think I got caught up in it going into the national finals. I was like, holy crap, I'm wrestling Spencer Lee. And that's bull crap. Because like the next person that runs into Spencer Lee, I don't want them to feel the same way I did. Because he's just another guy. He's just another guy that really doesn't do much on his feet and doesn't do much on top either, even though he's really good at it. But people have gotten out. I don't know. I think that I don't want to give him any more respect than I already have. I'm trying not to. I'm definitely backmouthing him. But like, this is how I feel. Like I don't know. I don't want to blow him
Either
up.
might be getting letting a little bit of his competitive streak downplay eventually a little bit. But I remember what I told him like a day or two after his NCAA finals matches. I was more hurt when he got fifth at Worlds, when he didn't get that bronze medal wrestling the athlete from China that I think got third at the senior level. But Jack literally left everything out on the mat, threw the kitchen sink at him, wrestled a very good strategic mat. I think he lost like 3-3 on criteria. And I was like, had a tear going down my face back in Iowa watching it in the bedroom. And in the NCAA finals match there, obviously it hurts that he doesn't get his ultimate goal of winning NCAA title, but it didn't hurt as bad for me as a coach because I didn't feel like in that match he wrestled in a way to give himself his best chance to win. I think if he wrestles Spencer Lee with the same mindset he had against Sebastian Rivera in the semis, I think that Jack could have been dominant.
Yeah.
And if you look at Sebastian,
but it's fine.
Yeah. There's a lot of matchups. Yeah.
3 criteria.
Hey, well, let's run it back on the senior level. I'm all in for that.
Me too.
But all right, so Jack Scott, Spencer Lee, major decision. Let's just get on the list of what I'm looking at here. Earl, what do you got?
You want me to follow up after all that?
Yeah, just anybody but me.
Yeah. So the way I see it, I think Lee would jump out to a lead, but I think Nickerson would wear him down on the mat. I don't think it would be a major decision, but guys have been able to slow him down from the bottom position. So I'll take Lee, but not a major.
Yeah, I'm in on the decision for Lee. I think it'd be very close. I think it'd be more of like a 7-1, 6-1 type deal, but I think he just keeps it in the decision.
All right, and Trent, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't think he's majoring Nickerson, but Lee by decision.
Okay, cool. So Spencer Lee by decision. I'm going to go the same there, and we'll move on and talk about a certain wrestler from South Dakota State versus Frank Gomez. I guess I don't even know. Who should we let go first? Seth, do you want to defend yourself first or after?
Let me go second.
All right. Earl, tell us a little bit about Frank Gomez.
All right. So Franklin Gomez, 3-time All-American from Michigan State. He was, I think, third as a sophomore and senior. Beats Reese Humphrey in the finals this year. Beat him in the Big Ten finals this year also. He had a long career on the senior level as well. World silver medalist. He's excellent, obviously, on his feet. Not as much of a mat wrestler, I'd say, but decent enough on the mat.
All right.
Who
Seth.
beat Gomez his senior year?
Daniel Dennis beat him in the semis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched it. Gomez got the only takedown in the match until overtime. It was escape, and stalling point. And Dennis Iowa'd him really bad. Broke him bad.
Man, so that would have been I guess a Gomez Ness final if he'd won that
I guess
one.
Ness beat Oliver in the other semi. I was gonna watch that, but
Oh, really? Yeah.
that impresses me a lot.
Briefly. But yeah, so that was my junior season. I was 29-0 at 133. That's the year I bumped up. I lost to Bryce Meredith at 141. But outside of that, I did pretty well. I had an 80% bonus point rate. Was Hodge finalist that year, and I was a finalist the year before losing to Corey Clark. So it's my junior year. I think that this was probably my best year out there. So
For sure. So have you ever been around Frank Gomez or wrestled him or anything like that?
Nope, I have not.
Well, he's 6 weight classes above Seth.
Yeah, he's probably way too big now.
He had his growth spurt 10 years after college.
All right. Well, we know from past shows that I obviously have no problem picking against Seth, but I don't know Frank Gomez. So I'll let some of you guys tell us about it, and I'll be able to form my decision here because I honestly don't know too much about Frank Gomez, so I can't even talk too much. Earl, what are you thinking about this matchup?
I don't know how Gomez handles the scrambling, the mat wrestling. I would have to give it to Seth based on that.
Yeah, I would give it to Seth because of the mat wrestling. Watching Gomez, though, I think it would be fun because he went doubles and bombed people straight up in the air. That's when he went for his finishes. I don't know. I mean, it would have been interesting to see Seth can wrestle in other places other than just scrambling, but how well would Gomez have gotten out of that situation? Who knows?
I think for me, just thinking about, what I know from Seth this year is, like Seth said, he thinks this is probably his best year, but I think specifically his top game was just unreal this year. So I think that's a big key for any matchup with 2018 Seth. I'm going to go Seth. I'm going to go just decision. What about you, Trent?
I'd go Seth in a controlled match. I'd go Frank in freestyle.
All right.
I think Seth's one of the better folk style wrestlers that's in the last decade in terms of who was in his weights and how dominant he was and how people could get to their best leg attacks and get so frustrated and not be able to score. And then he would just pour it on them.
All right. Jack, are you thinking, where are you going on this one?
No, I have Seth.
Okay. Seth, decision?
Yeah, Seth decision. I think that there'd be a few takedowns, and I think Gomez would get one. But just watching Gomez, I mean, he was amazing and was scoring a lot, especially this junior year. Like, the difference between his Reese Humphrey match and that Daniel Dennis match was light years, but I can't get that Daniel Dennis match out of my head. He just kind of got gassed, and he didn't look like he had much after the first takedown that he got. But Daniel Dennis is amazing and jacked and was everything that you need to make Iowa style work. So I don't know.
All right. Well, I guess we all got Seth Gross, except for Seth might be taking Frank Gomez, but I think we all got Seth, right? Decision. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Man, you got such a long name, Seth. I got to figure out a way to where to put my check. Not your name, South Dakota State. All right, moving on. Speaking of long names, Ani Diakomahalis versus Jay Jaggers. I'm excited to talk about this one too because this is kind of funky and cool match here. But Seth, tell us a little bit about Yanni here.
So this is Yanni's freshman year as well, right? Yeah, freshman year, and he had one loss to Jaden Ironman, but outside that, he won. That was his year. He beat Bryce Meredith in the finals, locked up that cradle right at the end. Before that, he beat Ironman in the semis in sudden victory. He beat Dean Heil 6-5 before that, and yeah, he wasn't, I wouldn't say he was dominant by any means that year, but he just found a way to win matches. He's unreal in all sorts of positions. His flexibility, just the ways he can make things up to score was pretty just crazy, even as a freshman. And yeah, he just found a way to win matches.
Absolutely. On the other end of things, Jay Jaggers, Earl, what we got on him?
You're muted.
Here we go.
There we go. So this was Jay's senior year, NCAA champion the year before, and it was kind of a Cinderella run the year before. This year he was the 3 seed. He pinned Gallic and Chris Druin in the quarters and the semis, and he actually locked up, I think, a cradle and almost pinned Ryan Williams in the finals early on. I really like this matchup because I think they're both really strong at sit in the corner, which is one of Jagger's best positions, and he'd end up getting the cradles from there. But yeah, I got to think about this one for a second.
I feel like Yanni's a better form of Jay. I don't think that there is someone that's better at technique in the senior level right now than Yanni.
Yeah. Also talking about just like the level of dominance that Yanni, I mean, I hate not the word dominance because like you're saying, like he wasn't the favorite his freshman year. He wasn't like killing everybody. But we're 2 years through Yanni's career and he has one loss, right? And so that only loss is to Jay Ironman, who he has beaten since then, I believe multiple times. And so he's beaten every person he's come in contact with in college. And just, I don't know, there's just certain people, man, that just have that just gamer, like that knack for just finding a way to win, right? Just, it doesn't matter what happens. You can kind of always bet on Yanni. Like even in, matches where I've seen him down late in the match, or, like the McKenna match, I can't remember exactly what the situation was there at the end or what the score was, but I know that it was kind of leaning in Joey's favor. And for me personally, it was just like, all right, when's it going to happen? Like, Yanni's going to win this match. When's it going to happen? He's just one of those guys that you can always rely on to get it done. So I'm going to go Yanni in a close one, really a close one, 1-point match here.
So I'm actually going to go Jaggers in this matchup just because Yanni was squeaking out matches at NCAAs that year. And like you said, he did find a way to win, but Jaggers was on fire at NCAAs in 2009, just destroying people. And I'm giving to an older Jaggers versus a freshman Yanni. I think sophomore year Yanni, it's a different story, but freshman year I'm giving it to Jaggers.
Yeah. Trent, what are you thinking?
I think Jaggers is one of the better gamers at the NCAA tournament. Like you said, I think he had 3 losses this year heading in, and he was dominant. And then his senior year, I think he had 6 losses and did it again. So when he made the decision he was going to win, he did a really good job. That being said, I'd pick Yanni just because he's beaten everyone he's ever faced, and Ironman has a hell of a cradle too, and he was able to get past that. I think Ironman's cradle is comparable to Jaggers, and Yanni I think his world-class experience winning world titles in high school, and that stuff transfers whether people realize it or not. Him just being comfortable in literally every position, I think I got to give him the nod.
For sure. Jack, what are you feeling?
Man, if we're talking wrestling IQs, I mean, like I said, I think Yanni's is only second to Jordan Burroughs, at least right now. I think that this match is interesting because both these guys really made the decision to win. We talked about Jaggers hurting his ankle and then gutting it out, but I got to go Yanni.
For sure. And that run he had freshman year, man. I mean, people don't really remember that. Going through Dean Heil, Jaden Ironman, Bryce Meredith is an insane run, and it was the Heil match that he tore his ACL, right? So I'm right on that one, right? And so he would have to have went through Ironman and Meredith with a torn ACL.
That's insane.
That's crazy. I mean, it's one thing like, and that was, I really like the comparison with Ironman because I think Ironman in those cradles, like he really is a lot like Jaggers. And I think it's one thing to say that, it's hard to wrestle a guy that just beat you and flip the script. And it's even harder to flip the script when you got a torn ACL. So that's a incredible feat. But Earl, what are you thinking to end it off for us?
Yeah, I've wanted to pick Jaggers, but I just can't go against Yanni. So I'll go with Yanni.
All right. Yanni by decision. And we're going to get into our next Hodge Trophy winner of this duel. 149 pounds, Zane Rutherford from Penn State won the Hodge this year versus Darian Caldwell of NC State, who took out Metcalf in the finals this year. So 2 pretty stacked resumes for these guys. But let's kick it off with Zane Rutherford. Tell us about him, Seth.
So Zane Rutherford, 3-time NCAA champ. Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, 88% bonus point rate his sophomore year, 90% his junior year, and 84% his senior year. Didn't lose any of those years. 3 undefeated seasons in a row. Definitely one of the best ever college wrestlers. And even his freshman year, he took out Stever and did some crazy things that year. But that is Zane Rutherford. I think we know him, Hodge Trophy winner that year.
Sure. All right. And on the other end of things, Earl, tell us about Darian Caldwell.
So Darian Caldwell, this was his second time AAing. The term freak athlete gets thrown around a lot, but this is him. That match with Metcalf, that was one of the craziest atmospheres I've been in at the NCAA tournament because nobody saw that coming, and he just beat him the entire match. And he was such a unique guy that after this, he was thinking about transferring because he wanted to play D1 football, and they were trying to not let him. And he ended up hurting his shoulder in a skateboarding accident and was never really the same after that. So he didn't All-American his senior year, even though he was the 1 seed in 2011. But just real fun guy to watch, and this would be an incredible style clash.
Yeah, for sure. I just think back about Caldwell throwing the headlock against Metcalf. Like, is there anything more disrespectful? Like, just walking up and smacking a lion in the face? Like, that's just throwing a headlock against Metcalf, just insane.
For the
when
first
he pinned him-
takedown, right?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think he entered that match with his balls in a wheelbarrow.
I mean, just crazy.
If there's anyone to beat Zane, it's 2009 Darian Caldwell. That
maybe
guy wrestled so loose and was just so fun to watch because he just would do whatever.
And look at the weights at that time frame. Who all was in that bracket? Bubba Jenkins. Who else was in there?
I'll pull it up.
He
Chirella.
beat Pataxel and Bryce Sidoris in the quarters and the semis. He majored both of those guys.
Yep. Metcalf took out Kyle Terry, Lance Palmer. Kyle Rochelle was on the other side too, but Metcalf didn't hit him.
Kyle Terry's
throughout
a guy
those
that people
years-
don't talk about.
Throughout those years at 49, not even the year that Caldwell won, but when he would wrestle really, really good guys and score points in bunches was what impressed me. And then if he was healthy and in shape, he was very, very, very hard to beat. I
He's got
remember
an
he jumped on the
amazing
senior
feel.
level that I think it was the summer after he beat Metcalf. And he wrestled, I believe, Doug Schwab first round at the World Team Trials. And Schwab was either the 1 or the 2 seed. I think he was the 2 seed because he got third at the Open. And he took out Schwab first round with literally, I don't think he had any freestyle experience. He was just out there wrestling. And this is one of the most interesting. If Darian Caldwell doesn't get turned or pinned from the bottom position, I think he's favored.
Wow, favored?
Favored against Rutherford if he chooses to look up and Rutherford doesn't get picked top.
I
That's a
might.
huge if. I just know that I know how dominant Zane Rutherford was. He was amazing. And if he got on top, it was either your shoulder, you were probably getting pinned. But Darian Caldwell could wrestle in all positions and take you feet to back pretty easy.
I think one thing to be said, though, too, in this matchup, I'm kind of leaning with you, too, because this is senior Zane, but I think the best version of Zane was probably junior year. Yeah, he won a Hodge this year, but he also won a Hodge junior year. And I think that his junior year having a 90% bonus rate, I mean, not just statistically, but thinking back, he was just so dominant in that junior season. Obviously was again in senior season, but looking at the NCAA tournament, he had a decision in the semis and a 4-point decision in the finals, whereas in other years he beat up on people. So I might be kind of leaning with you. But Jack's
Zane
smiling.
all day. Zane all day, man.
How do you guys see a
Unstoppable.
matchup between Zane and Metcalf?
Zane. I got Zane.
Automatically, you have Zane.
Yep, I got Zane against
No, not automatically.
Dude,
I don't know.
his pace would match Metcalf, and his top game was unreal, dude. You'd see him do it to everybody, man.
My issue with Zane is that everyone dodged him.
Bro, that ain't his
So
fault.
he didn't have
His fault, dude.
he didn't have the competition that Metcalf did. And
Dude, he was
still
that good that
Metcalf
everybody was
dominated.
dodging him.
Yeah, but do you guys remember the matches where I know Zane pinned him at nationals, but when Zane wrestled Sorensen in the duel, I think it was double overtime. I'd say Metcalf was a better wrestler than Sorensen.
Yeah, but I heard Zane was really sick because I heard he was almost not going to wrestle.
See, I feel like if Aaron Pico still wrestled in college, Zane would only have one title.
Disagree. Zane would tear him apart in folk style.
No
Freestyle's
way.
a different story.
No way.
Pico
We
was
got
not
robbed
Pico was
4
not that
years
good
of
on
Aaron
bottom in
Pico.
high school.
We got robbed.
Bro, you see
But
Dean Heil,
he got out like sophomore year. Like we
Pico,
haven't seen him
hey,
wrestle since sophomore year.
Pico's senior year, he lost to Dean Heil.
No, Pico's freshman year, he lost to Dean Howe when Dean Howe was a senior.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
I remember when Pico wrestled
Pico was
Rutherford
my
in those
grade.
freestyle matches.
Yeah.
They were very one-sided.
He crushed Zane in freestyle. Crushed him.
Freestyle, bro. That's a whole different.
But Zane didn't even
They were all
score.
takedowns.
He didn't score.
He can choose top, dude. That's the nice thing about folk
He's
style.
not gonna choose top though. People don't just choose top.
You don't think so?
Ethan Lezak.
Dude.
Or you.
He's one of the best ever on top. You don't think he picks top?
Would be,
bro, you are wild,
or
dude.
4-time national champ.
No.
Oh my gosh. Seriously?
Aaron Pico was special.
Dude,
he was the best. The absolute best. He was almost a 16-year-old Olympian.
Freestyle all day, but Zane and folk style every single time.
No.
Dude, Pico's not on this list, guys. I
know.
I
got robbed 4 years of watching Aaron Pico wrestle in college, and I'm still bitter about it.
All right.
I think that Darian Caldwell, 2009, he stepped on that stage and he wasn't walking away with a loss.
Bro, oh my goodness. I can't even believe this. Freaking 2-time Hodge Trophy winner. Freaking.
Yeah, but who are his finals wins?
Bro.
Who are his finals wins?
Sorensen.
What about it?
Ronnie Perry.
Le'Veon Mays and Ronnie Perry.
Bro, if he was that good, everybody wanted to dodge him, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know. I mean, I think that it's fair. I mean, Darian Caldwell.
Major decision over Ryan Deacon multiple times.
Yeah, Ryan Deacon.
Suck down Ryan Deacon.
Freshman.
Bro, he beat everybody who wanted to try to beat him.
Ryan Deacon. Was he even like representing Northwestern at that time?
Bro, it was his
redshirting.
No, this was Ryan Deacon's second year, and he was 32-6 or something.
I mean,
one comparable matchup you could think is Zane wrestling the Cuban. Was that at Worlds or Pan Ams? I can't even remember.
I want to say Pan Ams. I'd be wrong.
There's not many. Yeah, that Cuban could wrestle upper body and like Caldwell could with inside trips and pull you up. I just think it would be an interesting match with two great wrestlers. I'd go Caldwell if he doesn't get turned on bottom. Zane, if he gets on top, he might even get bonus. You just don't know.
I mean, I think Darian Caldwell gets pegged as just like an awesome athlete because he is one of the best athletes the sport has ever seen. But his knowledge of the sport in different positions and when to hit stuff was off the charts.
Yeah.
He knew what to do and when to do it.
All right,
and
let's
he was
recount.
a huge gamer.
Let's recount. So Seth's got Zane.
All day.
Trent and Jack both got Darian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm so sorry, Earl. I got Zane. Earl is going to decide it for us. But I got Zane, and I'm not just picking it just to be fun here. Like, I agree with Seth's point of, we were talking about obviously a different match of different wrestlers, but Zane is just it's a different animal talking folk style versus freestyle. Freestyle, obviously he's great freestyle as well, but folk style is just a completely different level, and I can see him getting on top in this matchup in some way. I do think it's in the possibility that he would take top just because of how great he was on top. I'm not saying that it's an auto top situation, but I think that it could happen, and I think that he could certainly get a takedown at some point in here. And if he ends up on top, I definitely got Zane in this matchup. So sorry, Earl, but I'll leave it to you. Decide this one for us.
I'm going with 2009 Caldwell.
Let's go.
Oh, man.
Wildest choice of the day.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. You guys realize that both of our Hodge Trophy winners in this duel have lost? Both. Because the little star I got beside these guys. Yeah, Herbert. Oh, my Lord. This is awful. But all right, Darian Caldwell. He headlocks Zane Rutherford, I guess, and moves on. 157 pounds, the main event for this duel. Jason Nolf versus Jordan Burroughs. This one's gonna be fun to talk about as well. Jack, did you have something else to say, or were you done?
No,
You laid it to rest.
I'm ready for this one. I've been thinking about this one for a while. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, me and Jack already debated this one a couple days ago.
Yeah. So Earl, tell us a little bit about 2009 Jordan Burroughs.
All right, so this is his first year at 157 pounds. Went undefeated. He had a tough weight class. It had Mike Poeta in the finals. You also had Jordan Lean, who was the NCAA champion the year before. I think, was it at Vegas, Burroughs beat him. And so, yeah, this is his first of two consecutive or two undefeated seasons. But yeah, this. I've been thinking about this one all day too, or all weekend.
He also beat Gregor Gillespie in the semifinals this year.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So Jason Nolf, this was his junior year, two-time national champ at the time. He had the one mark as a loss, I think, when he injury defaulted a match this year, and then was undefeated the season before. But he beat Hidley in the finals this year, 6-2. He beat Tech-Falled Micah Jordan in the semis, beat Michael Kemmerer 6-2. So that's Jason Nolf, pretty good wrestler.
Wasn't he on a bum leg too?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys agree with me here or not, but this is another situation where I feel like this, in my opinion, was Jason Nolf's best year. And even on that bum leg, I mean, just the dudes he beat, and that 6-4 or 6-2 decision with Hidley in the finals, while it was closer, statistically than a lot of his matches, it was pretty controlled, and I don't think it was ever in doubt that he was going to win that match. I feel that it might have been his best year.
His sophomore season might have been even better than that. He had a 93 bonus percentage his sophomore year.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just thinking back, not necessarily statistics, but just thinking some of the matches that I remember from each of those years, and he was just on another level. And I mean, it definitely shows that he was on another level, that how he walked through that tournament and was on one leg. So
his sophomore year, his closest match at NCAAs was 14-6.
Okay, well, I'll shut up. But
he was on one that year.
You guys might think I'm crazy, but I'll say Jordan Burroughs in a controlled win.
Jordan Burroughs. All right, why? Got it. You can't just lay that on us and then dip.
That I'm about to follow it up. I'll say I coached in Nebraska in 2009. I wrestled Burroughs every single day that year. And I helped convince him to move up from 149 to 157. He actually wrestled off, made weight at 49, but I could tell for his size and the amount of weight cutting, it would affect his ability. I think when he moved up to 57 and he could wrestle without ever having to worry about weight and just wrestle free, he's one of the very few athletes I've ever wrestled that is extremely quick twitch and can keep wrestling as long as the match goes. And what comes to mind for me is when Nolf wrestled people that were very, very strong and explosive, he had trouble with Imar. And I think Burroughs was as good or better than Imar in those categories.
I'm going to go very, very close win by Burroughs. And I just think stylistically, right, Burroughs scores so quick, right? He's so explosive. He quick to finish, and Nolf usually is the one that kind of draws those scrambles out. And Burroughs had a way of eliminating scrambles completely, and he knows where to wrestle, when to wrestle, and, put himself in the positions he wants to be in. So I'm going Burroughs in a close one.
Do you guys remember the Nolf James Green match in the finals of Scuffle? I think Nolf was a true freshman.
A little bit, yeah.
I can't remember what the score was, but I think I remember being very impressed with Nolf. Like, holy crap, he's a true freshman, and that was Green's senior year. I know Green didn't win a national title, but he had like intangibles like Burroughs with explosiveness and could wrestle for the full length of a match. And I think that data helps me with deciding that Burroughs would control it. I know he obviously got a lot better with each year, but Jordan Burroughs is one of the best athletes of the I don't want to say the history of the sport.
I think one of the hard things of this matchup is to truly try to put the rest of Burroughs' career out of your head, because 2009 is a different Burroughs than what we think of when again, they're still fantastic, still great, one of the greats in college wrestling, especially around this time. But I'm trying to really narrow in on first national title Jordan Burroughs, and man, it's a hard one. Jack, I want to see what do you got?
I've got Burroughs. He was still in college when he was winning world titles, so I know it's hard to take that out of your head, but he was still good enough to do it at this point. Nolf wasn't. Like, he didn't make a team. He's obviously unreal. 93% bonus rate is absolutely the most absurd thing I've ever heard. But I think like Jordan Burroughs in my mind is like, he just dominated everything and everyone for so long. And even though he's had some times where he doesn't place or he gets a third, like he comes back and wins it like right after that. And I don't know. It's hard. The only time I've ever picked against Burroughs is next year in the Olympic trials, but we'll see how that goes.
Hasn't even happened yet.
But I already made my decision. So
no, I'm saying you said the only time you're picking.
Yeah,
you haven't even picked yet.
I'm not picking. It's not this one though. I got Burroughs.
Yeah. I was leaning the other way. I'm going to go with Nolf. I'm just thinking back about junior year Nolf and the wins that he had, and his career up to this point was just unreal. And so was Jordan Burroughs. But if it was 2011 Burroughs, like later in the career, I think it might have been an easier decision for me the other way. I think it's super close, but I would have leaned Nolf. What about you, Earl?
Yeah, I'm going Burroughs, and I think with the little bit of a bum knee, even though it really didn't slow him down against a guy like Hidley, that's kind of a difference when you're talking about Burroughs and Nolf. So I'm going Burroughs.
Sure. All right. Well, we've wrapped this duel up. We have Jordan Burroughs taking the last match of the duel, and that will set our score, the final score, at 22-6, actually. And we're going to 22-9. Yep, you're right. I didn't even update it. But 22-9 would be the final score of this one. And we're going to get moving on to the next duel. But that was a fun one. We had two Hodge Trophy winners go down.